Hello anh em, hôm nay là ngày 12 tháng 10 và tôi tiếp tục quay trở lại với quá trình học tiếng Anh của tôi. Bắt đầu.
A for intimacy. In mini story A, I will ask questions.
Tôi phải đóng cửa, đây đóng cửa rồi. Hôm nay hơi ốm.
About the article, about the letter. I will only ask questions you know. In mini story A, you will know the answers. In mini story B, you will need to guess. But this mini story, no guessing. Okay, let's go. Are you ready? The woman has a husband. Who was her husband? What was his name? Who was her husband? Well, look at the text.
John. Đóng cửa lại cho nó đỡ chói. Ngày mai em đi thành phố nghiêng nghiêng gọi mời. Lại sắp có mưa rồi.
His name
His name is John.
was James.
James.
What was his name? His name was James.
His name was James. His name was James.
Was James her husband?
Was James her husband? Yes. James was her husband.
Yes.
Yes.
James was her husband.
James was her husband. Her husband. James was her husband.
Was she, the woman, was she in her 30s?
Oh, no. She is about 20. She is about 20s. She was about 20s.
Was she in her 30s? No. She wasn't in her 30s.
She wasn't in her 30. She wasn't in her 30.
She was in her 20s.
She were were she were uh, she were. Ủa, ây da. She was in her 20. Dạ vâng.
Was James in his 20s?
Oh, yes. James was in her 20s.
20s. Was James in his 20s?
Yes. James was in his 20s. In his 20s.
Yes. James was in his 20s.
Yes. James was in his 20s. James was in his 20s. His 20.
The woman was in her 20s.
The woman was in her 20s. Her 20s.
Were they both in their 20s?
Yes, they were in they were both in their 20s. They were both in their 20s. In their 20.
Yes, they were both
Both
in their
out.
20s.
They were both in their 20s. They were both in their 20. Dạ vâng. In their 20. Ok. Ok. Ok.
How old were they?
How old were they? How old were they? How old were they? How old were they? How old were they? How old were they? How old were they? How old were they? How old were they? How old were they? How old were they? How old? How? How old were they? Mm, they were about their 20s.
Well, they were in their 20s, right?
Oh, they were there. They were in their 20s. They, 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 they they were in their 20s. They were in their 20s. In their, they, 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 they were in their 20s. In their 20s. In their 20s. In their 20s.
How old were they? They were in their 20s.
How old were they? How old were they? How old were they? How old were they? How was they? They were they? They was in our 20s. They were in their 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 20s. How old were they? They were in their 20s. They were in their 20s.
Did the woman have a problem?
Yes. The woman had the woman had the problem had the woman had the problem
Yes, she
Yes.
had a problem.
she had a problem she had a problem she had she had a problem she has a problem.
Did she have a problem with money?
Oh, no. She didn't have she didn't have she didn't have a problem with 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 the money money the money. No,
She didn't have a
She
problem
didn't.
with money. Did with money.
money. No,
She didn't have a problem with money. Problem with money. Yeah. Did the woman have a problem? Yes, she had a problem. Did she have a problem with money? No, she didn't have a problem with money.
no. She didn't have a problem. She 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 uh, uh, she uh, she she didn't she didn't have she didn't have a problem with money. She didn't have a problem. She didn't have a problem uh, a problem 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 with 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 money.
Did she have a problem with James?
Yes, yes. She had she had she had had she 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 sh, sh, she had her had she had she had a problem uh she had a problem 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 um, problem she had a problem she had a problem problem with James with with James with 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 James yes yes she had a problem 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 with 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 James James James
Yeah, she had a problem with James.
with James with
What kind of
James.
problem did she have with James?
The intimacy the the problem the the problem is the problem is the problem with James the problem with the the problem with James was the intimacy.
Well, she had a sex problem, right?
Ah, she had a sex problem
She had a problem with their sex life.
with their sex life. She had a problem with she had a problem she had a problem with uh their 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 sex life tình dục sex life.
A sex problem.
Sex problem
Did she have a sex problem with Bill?
Oh no, she have she have she have she had she she had she had a problem a sex problem She had a sex problem. Sex problem. A sex problem. 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 A sex problem. With James. Not Bill.
No,
No.
not Bill.
Not Bill.
Did she have a sex problem
Sex problem
with Fred?
with Fred.
No.
No.
She
No.
didn't have a sex problem with Fred.
She didn't have a sex problem. She didn't a sex sang em em tên là sang em tên là sang em tên là sang em tên là sang em tên là sở sang em tên là sang trọng. Để em sang để cho vâng. Em tên là sang anh ạ. Vâng, em tên là sang. Vâng, em tên là sang. Vâng, Essie sang Essie. Vâng, em tên là sang. Vâng, em tên là vâng, em tên là sang. Vâng, em tên là sang. Vâng, em tên là sang Essie. Vâng, dạ vâng. Ok. 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 Ok.
Who did she have a sex problem with?
Oh, she. Who did she had? Who did she had? Who did she had? Yeah. She had a sex problem. She had a sex problem with James. She had a sex problem with James. Ok. Thôi đi chợ. Xin chào anh em, tôi phải đi chợ đây.